Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something you use every day, but you might not fully understand. Your immune system. We've got some really great research and articles here, and I know you've probably got some theories too. Like maybe you think that a bored immune system needs practice. Does it? You know what I mean? Like sometimes I wonder. When you think about
That
it,
makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first heard George Carlin's bit about the immune system. It was from like the '90s. And he was talking about how, like, if you're too clean, your immune system's just sitting around. And it needs to, it needs practice. And at first, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But,
Really?
does it? Really?
Well, that idea has been around for a while, and it's understandable why people think that way. I mean, it's simple, it's catchy, but the science actually tells a different story.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. I mean, we've all heard about the hygiene hypothesis. So, if you're too clean, it might backfire. Is that kind of where this bored immune system idea comes from?
Yeah, the hygiene hypothesis is a good place to start, although it's been kind of misinterpreted and oversimplified over time. Early studies did suggest there might be a link between reduced exposure to microbes as a kid and a higher chance of having allergies or autoimmune diseases as an adult.
So there's some truth to it then.
Yes, but it's not as easy as saying, get sick so you can get strong. The way we understand it now, it's called the old friends hypothesis. It suggests that being exposed to a lot of different good microbes when you're young, our old friends, it's super important for teaching our immune system how to know what's good and what's bad.
Well, it's not about going out and trying to get sick. It's more about making sure you have a good relationship with the good microbes, right? Makes me think about all those times our parents told us to play outside in the dirt. Maybe they were actually onto something.
It's definitely possible. Things like playing in nature, hanging out with animals, even eating a variety of fresh foods. It can all help create a more diverse microbiome.
And that diverse microbiome is what helps our immune system do its job better.
Exactly. It's like having a great team of advisors helping your immune system make good choices. But it's not about getting sick over and over again. It's about creating a balanced and strong inner ecosystem.
This makes me think about that whole immunity debt thing that's been going around. Is that basically just the hygiene hypothesis rebranded?
You got it. Immunity debt kind of implies that if you haven't been sick enough, your immune system is somehow weaker, which just reinforces this wrong idea that getting sick is good for you, which it's not.
It just feels counterintuitive. You'd think that getting sick would make your immune system stronger.
Well, think of it this way. The immune system isn't like a muscle that you can train by working it out harder. Exposing yourself to bad stuff over and over doesn't make it stronger. It can actually weaken it over time and even lead to more serious problems.
Right. That's important. So we need to move past these oversimplifications. I mean, I'm ready to get into the nuts and bolts of how the immune system actually works. What do you say? Are you ready to dive in?
Let's break it down. Your immune system is incredibly complex. It's a whole network of cells, tissues, and organs all working together. To simplify, though, think of it as having two main parts: innate immunity and adaptive immunity.
Two parts, huh? This is getting good. Tell me more.
So innate immunity, think of it as your body's first line of defense, like a rapid response team. It's not specific to any one thing. It's just a general barrier against anything bad that gets into your body. This includes things like your skin and linings of your respiratory and digestive systems, as well as specialized cells that basically eat and destroy invaders.
So it's like a security system that's always on, ready to take out any threat.
Exactly. But sometimes the invaders are a little trickier. That's when adaptive immunity comes into play. It's more specialized, and it develops over time as you encounter different things.
So it's like having intelligence agents, gathering intel on threats, and developing targeted strategies.
Great analogy. Adaptive immunity uses cells called T and B cells. They remember past encounters. B cells make antibodies, which are like guided missiles that target specific invaders. And T cells can directly attack infected cells, or even help regulate the whole immune response.
Wow, that's incredible. So the more your adaptive immune system learns, the better it can fight off repeat offenders. This makes me think about viruses, though. If you get sick with one virus, does that protect you from others? Like if you've had the flu, are you protected from a cold?
Not necessarily. Immune memory is very specific. So getting sick with one virus doesn't make you immune to others, especially if they're from different families of viruses.
So each virus is like a unique puzzle piece, and your immune system has to figure out how to deal with each one individually.
Exactly. There is something called cross protection, though, where immunity to one virus can give you some protection against similar ones. Think about how the cowpox virus was used to create the smallpox vaccine, but it's not always the case.
That makes sense. It explains why it's so hard to develop a universal flu vaccine, for example. Viruses are always changing. It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly. The flu virus has so many different strains that mutate all the time. So it's really hard to create a vaccine that works against all of them for a long time.
Okay, so we've busted some myths and learned that the immune system is a lot more complex than just getting sick to get stronger. But what does all this mean for us? Can we actually do anything to support our immune health? Can we strengthen it like a muscle?
That's the question, isn't it? The truth is your immune system isn't like a muscle. You can't train it by getting sick over and over. Instead of trying to boost it, think about nourishing it, giving it the right support so it can function at its best.
So it's like tending a garden, not training for a marathon. We need to provide the right conditions for it to flourish.
Exactly. Think about it this way. You wouldn't intentionally hurt your skin or bones to make them stronger, right? Same goes for your immune system. Instead of exposing yourself to harmful things, focus on giving it the nutrients and lifestyle support it needs.
That's a helpful way to look at it. So it's not about abuse and hardship. It's about providing the right kind of care. So let's get specific. What are some of these key nutrients, and how do they actually help create a healthy immune response?
Well, let's start with vitamin A. It plays a really important role in developing and regulating immune cells.
I know it's important for vision, but how does it affect immunity?
Vitamin A helps strengthen the linings of our organs, like our respiratory and digestive systems, which act as barriers against pathogens. It also helps produce mucus, which traps and gets rid of those invaders.
Wow, it's amazing how all these things are connected.
Right. The human body is incredible, but remember, balance is key. Too much vitamin A can actually do the opposite and suppress the immune system.
So getting enough through a balanced diet is important, but mega dosing on supplements might not be the best idea.
Exactly. Now let's move on to iron. We know it's important for red blood cells, but it's also crucial for immune function.
Interesting. I hadn't really thought about iron and immunity before.
Well, iron is needed to produce immune cells, especially lymphocytes, which are key for adaptive immunity. It also helps regulate immune responses and even plays a role in maintaining a healthy gut microbiome.
So if someone is iron deficient, they might be more susceptible to infections.
That's right. Iron deficiency can weaken the immune system's ability to fight off those invaders. And that brings us to another superstar nutrient, vitamin C.
Vitamin C. It's always talked about as an immune booster.
Oh.
But what's the real story?
Vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant, and it plays a vital role in supporting immune function.
I remember hearing it can help fight off colds. How does that actually work?
Vitamin C is involved in making white blood cells. Those are your body's infection fighters. It also helps with antibody formation. Remember those guided missiles we talked about?
Deathy?
And it strengthens those epithelial barriers that line your organs, so pathogens can't get in as easily.
So it's not just about fighting off a cold. It's about supporting the foundation of a healthy immune response.
Exactly. Then we have vitamin D, which is essential for immune cell function. Many immune cells actually have receptors for vitamin D.
I've heard vitamin D deficiency is pretty common. How does that impact our immunity?
Well, vitamin D helps regulate immune responses and may even protect against certain viral infections. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't get enough, especially those who live in areas with limited sunlight.
So sunlight, food sources, or supplements, are those all good options for getting enough vitamin D?
They all have their place. It's best to talk to your doctor to figure out the best approach for you, though. Now, let's talk about zinc. It's a trace mineral, but it's a powerhouse for immune support.
I know zinc can be helpful, but isn't it hard to absorb?
You're right. Zinc absorption can be improved with zinc ionophores. They basically help zinc get where it needs to go in the body.
So it's not just about taking a zinc supplement. It's about making sure your body can actually use it.
Exactly. And speaking of absorption, let's talk about omega-3 fatty acids. They're often associated with heart health, but they also play a role in immunity.
I'm really interested to learn more about that connection.
Well, omega-3 fatty acids help produce and maintain macrophages. Those are the amazing cells that eat and destroy pathogens and clean up cellular debris.
The cleanup crew.
Exactly. Research suggests they might also affect the function of T and B cells. Those are the crucial players in adaptive immunity we talked about.
So omega-3s are working on multiple levels to support immune function. It's incredible how the nutrients we eat have such a huge impact on our defenses. But I imagine nutrition isn't the whole story.
You're absolutely right. Nutrition is like providing the building blocks,
Yeah.
but lifestyle factors play a huge role in how well your immune system actually functions.
Right. You can't talk about health without talking about lifestyle. So what are some of the key lifestyle factors that can influence our immune response?
Sleep is essential. I mean, it's really essential. During sleep, your body repairs and rejuvenates itself, and that includes your immune system. Enough sleep helps with adaptive immunity and the formation of memory cells. But not getting enough sleep can really weaken your immune response.
So those late nights can actually take a toll.
Definitely. Chronic sleep deprivation can make you more susceptible to infections, and it can slow down how fast you recover. It's crucial to make quality sleep a priority if you want a healthy immune system.
All right. Note to self. Get to bed early tonight. I could definitely use some immune-boosting shut-eye. But what about other lifestyle factors?
Well, stress management is another big one. Chronic stress can suppress your immune function, making you more vulnerable to getting sick. Things like meditation, deep breathing exercises, spending time in nature, they can all help manage stress and support your immune system.
It's amazing how connected our mental and physical health are.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about regular physical activity. Moderate exercise can boost immune function, but smoking does the opposite. It weakens your defenses.
So it's a holistic approach. We need to nourish our bodies with the right nutrients and cultivate a lifestyle that supports immune well-being. It's empowering to know we have some control. But before we move on, I'd love to touch on probiotics. There's so much buzz around them, but their role in immunity can be kind of confusing. Can you shed some light on that?
Sure. Probiotics are live microorganisms. When you eat enough of them, they can be beneficial, especially for gut health. And as we talked about earlier, a healthy gut is closely linked to a healthy immune system.
Right. I've seen so many different probiotic supplements out there. Are they all the same?
Not necessarily. It's really important to use probiotics thoughtfully and ideally talk to a healthcare professional about them.
Why is it so important to be cautious with probiotics?
Well, generic probiotic supplements can sometimes mess up the balance in your gut microbiome, and that can lead to some unintended consequences. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
So personalized guidance is key.
Exactly. This is especially important for people with autoimmune conditions, where the immune system is attacking the body's own tissues. In these cases, trying to boost the immune system with generic supplements might not be the best idea. It could even make symptoms worse.
That makes sense. It's a good reminder that our immune system is incredibly complex, and there's no magic bullet. It's about understanding the nuances and seeking personalized guidance when we need it, which leads perfectly into the next part of our deep dive.
It really is amazing, you know. The more we learn about the immune system, the more we realize there's so much more to uncover.
Absolutely. That's what makes these deep dives so great. We're getting into all the details and really seeing how this incredible system protects us. So as we move into the second part of our exploration, let's recap some of what we've learned so far.
Yeah, so we started by debunking some common myths, like the bored immune system myth. We learned it's not about trying to get sick, it's more about having a diverse and balanced microbiome.
Right. And we talked about the two main parts of our immune system. The innate system, which is like a constant security force, and the adaptive system, which learns and remembers past encounters.
And we dove into the world of nutrients. We learned about vitamin A, iron, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and omega-3 fatty acids, and how they all play unique roles in supporting a healthy immune response.
Yeah, like each one has its own superpower. They all work together to create a strong defense system. But it's not just about what we eat, right? It's also about how we live.
Exactly. Lifestyle factors like sleep, stress management, and exercise, they all play a crucial role in optimizing immune function.
Right. It's a holistic approach. Our physical and mental well-being are so interconnected. Speaking of which, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to talk about autoimmune conditions. Can you tell us more about that?
Autoimmune conditions are kind of a paradox. The immune system, which is supposed to protect us, it actually ends up attacking the body's own tissues.
So like it gets its signals crossed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There are tons of different types of autoimmune conditions, each affecting different parts of the body, like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and type 1 diabetes.
And I imagine managing autoimmune conditions is a lot more complicated than just trying to boost the immune system.
You got it. In fact, boosting the immune system in the traditional sense could actually make symptoms worse. The focus for managing autoimmune conditions, it's more about regulating the immune response, not amplifying it.
That makes sense. So it's super important for people with autoimmune conditions to work closely with their doctors to create a treatment plan that's right for them.
Absolutely. Treatment often involves a combination of things, like medication, lifestyle changes, and sometimes even dietary adjustments.
Ah,
But it's a very individualized process.
right. What works for one person might not work for another. This brings up something else I've been wondering about. We talked about how the adaptive immune system develops memory of specific pathogens. But what about bacteria? Antibiotics can kill bacteria, of course. But can our immune system also develop immunity to them?
That's a great question. The immune system can develop immunity to bacteria, but it's not as straightforward as with viruses. Some bacteria are easy for the immune system to recognize and attack, while others have developed ways to avoid our defenses.
So it's an ongoing battle between our immune system and these bacteria.
Exactly. Some bacteria can even change their outer appearance to trick the immune system. It's like they're wearing disguises.
Wow, that's amazing. But if we can develop immunity to bacteria, why do we sometimes get the same bacterial infection more than once?
There are a few reasons for that. First, like viruses, bacteria can mutate and evolve. They change their surface proteins so the immune system doesn't recognize them.
So they're changing their disguises over time.
Right. And sometimes, even if the immune system has encountered a bacteria before, it might not be strong enough to prevent another infection. This can happen if your immune system is weakened, maybe because of stress, poor nutrition, or not enough sleep.
It's a good reminder that our immune system is always working behind the scenes. And how well it works can depend on a lot of different factors.
Exactly. And some bacteria are just better at evading the immune system than others. Take the bacteria that cause tuberculosis, for example.
Tuberculosis, isn't that a serious lung infection?
Yes, it is. And the bacteria that cause it, they can actually survive inside macrophages. Those are the immune cells that are supposed to destroy them. It's like they hijack the macrophages and use them as a hiding place so they can stay in the body for a long time.
That's pretty sneaky. So with tuberculosis, it's not just about developing immunity, it's about overcoming these bacterial strategies.
Right. That's why treating tuberculosis usually requires multiple antibiotics taken over a long period of time. It's about overwhelming the bacteria and stopping them from becoming resistant.
This is all fascinating. It's amazing to learn about these interactions between our immune system and the microbial world. What about the good bacteria that live in our gut? We talked about them earlier. Do they also interact with our immune system?
Absolutely. The gut microbiome is crucial for shaping and regulating our immune system.
So they're more than just digestive aids.
Way more. They actually communicate with our immune cells, helping to train them and keep them balanced. A healthy gut microbiome can help prevent the immune system from overreacting, which is important for preventing allergies and autoimmune diseases.
So those old friends in our gut are helping to keep our immune system in check.
Exactly. They make sure the immune system is doing its job, but not going overboard.
It's amazing how interconnected everything is. Our immune system, our microbiome, the environment.
It really is a delicate balance, and the more we learn about these connections, the more we understand the complexity and resilience of the human body.
This has been so insightful. We've debunked myths, explored how the immune system interacts with bacteria, and talked about the importance of the gut microbiome. But before we wrap things up, I have a question. We talked about how our immune system learns and adapts over time, but what happens as we get older? Does our immune system change? And if so, what can we do to support it?
That's a great question, and it's something researchers are actively studying. As we age, our immune system does change, and this can make us more susceptible to infections, and our response to vaccines might be slower.
So it's not necessarily that our immune system gets weaker, but it maybe becomes less efficient.
That's a good way to think about it. One of the main changes is a decline in the production of new immune cells, including those T and B cells that are so important for adaptive immunity.
That makes sense. So if our bodies are making fewer immune cells, does that mean we're more vulnerable to new threats?
It can definitely contribute to that. And the memory cells we've built up over our lives, they start to lose their effectiveness too. So we might be more likely to get infections that we would have easily fought off when we were younger.
That's a little concerning. But is there anything we can do to support our immune system as we age?
Absolutely. We can't completely stop aging, but we can definitely take steps to help our immune system stay as healthy as possible. And many of these are things we've already talked about.
So maintaining those healthy habits, getting enough sleep, managing stress, and eating a nutritious diet.
Exactly. As we get older, it's even more important to pay attention to what we eat. Make sure we're getting enough of those vitamins and minerals that support the immune system.
Are there any specific nutrients that become especially important as we age?
Vitamin D is a big one. Our skin's ability to produce vitamin D from sunlight decreases as we get older, so we need to make sure we're getting enough from food or supplements.
Right. What about protein? I've heard that we need more protein as we get older. Does that affect immune health too?
Definitely. Protein is crucial for building and repairing tissues, including immune cells. As we age, our bodies don't use protein as efficiently, so it's important to make sure we're getting enough. Good sources include lean meats, poultry, fish, beans, lentils, and nuts.
This is great information. It's good to know we can be proactive about supporting our immune system. What are some of the most exciting areas of research in immune health right now?
Oh, there's so much going on. One area that I find particularly interesting is the role of the microbiome in immune function. We're learning so much about how the trillions of bacteria in our gut interact with our immune system.
I've heard about fecal transplants being used to treat certain gut conditions. Is that related to the microbiome and immunity?
Yes, that's a great example. Fecal microbiota transplantation. It involves taking stool from a healthy person and giving it to someone with a gut microbiome imbalance. This can help restore a healthy balance of bacteria in the gut, which can have a huge impact on the immune system.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing that something as simple as transplanting gut bacteria can have such a big effect on our health.
It really is. And there's more and more evidence that the microbiome might play a role in a whole range of conditions. Allergies, autoimmune diseases, obesity, even mental health.
That's mind-blowing. It seems like we're just beginning to understand the microbiome.
We are. And as we continue to learn, I'm sure we'll find even more ways to use the power of the microbiome to improve our health. But for now, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
I agree. We've covered so much, but we're not done yet. We have one more part of our deep dive to go. We'll talk about some practical tips for supporting immune health and answer some of your questions. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground already, from debunking myths to understanding the intricacies of the immune system. But now, let's talk about what we can actually do. How can we support our immune health in our daily lives?
It's all about making smart choices and building habits that you can stick with. We've touched on a lot of these already, but let's put it all together.
I like it. I'm ready to put all this knowledge into action.
All right, so first things first, prioritize sleep. It really is the foundation of a healthy immune system. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night.
Yeah, that can be tough sometimes, especially when life gets busy. Any tips for improving sleep quality?
Absolutely. Having a regular sleep schedule is super important. Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day, even on weekends. That'll help regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
Right. Routine is key.
And create a relaxing bedtime routine. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. The blue light from electronics can mess with your melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone that helps you sleep.
So put down the phone and pick up a book.
Or take a bath.
Exactly. Creating a calm environment can help your body know it's time to unwind, and make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool. Those things can really make a difference.
Makes sense. I'm feeling more relaxed already just thinking about it. But what about stress? We talked about how chronic stress can suppress the immune system. How can we manage that effectively?
Stress is a part of life, it's true, but how you handle it is what matters. Try to include stress-reducing activities in your routine. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, spending time in nature. Those have all been shown to have a positive effect on stress levels.
Right. Find what works for you and make it a priority. Exactly. And don't forget about social connections. Spending time with people you care about, having good conversations, having a strong support system. All of that can help buffer the negative impacts of stress.
We're not meant to go through life alone, that's for sure. We need those connections to thrive. Okay, so sleep, stress management. What about exercise? We know it's good for us. But how does it specifically benefit the immune system?
Moderate exercise can boost immune function in a few ways. It improves circulation, which allows immune cells to move around more easily, so they can get to sites of infection faster.
So it's like improving the immune system's transportation system.
Exactly. Exercise also helps reduce inflammation, which is good for overall immune health. But remember, balance is key. Too much exercise can actually suppress immune function. So listen to your body and don't overdo it.
Find that sweet spot. Okay, so we've got sleep, stress management, exercise. Now let's talk about nutrition. We already went into detail about specific nutrients, but what are some general dietary guidelines for supporting immune health?
Focus on eating a variety of whole, unprocessed foods. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats. Those provide the nutrients your immune system needs to function at its best.
So basically eat the rainbow.
Exactly. The more colorful your plate, the better. And don't forget about staying hydrated. Water is so important. It helps transport nutrients, flush out waste, and keep everything balanced.
Right, hydration is key. So eat a balanced diet, stay hydrated. What about supplements? Are there any you recommend for immune support?
A healthy diet should give you most of what you need, but some supplements can be beneficial, especially if you have specific deficiencies or concerns.
Are there any that stand out?
Vitamin D is a common one. A lot of people are deficient, especially in the winter or if they don't get much sun.
Right, and we talked about how important vitamin D is for immune function.
Exactly. Zinc can also be helpful, especially during cold and flu season. It has antiviral properties and might help shorten the duration of colds.
I've heard zinc lozenges can be good for a cold. Is that true?
There's some research to suggest that. If you take zinc lozenges when you first start feeling symptoms, they might help reduce how long your cold lasts, but we need more research to be sure.
Good to know.
Mm.
And what about probiotics? We talked about them for gut health. Do they also help with immune support?
As we discussed, the gut microbiome is a big part of immune function, and probiotics can help create a healthy balance of bacteria in the gut. But it's important to choose them carefully, and ideally, talk to your healthcare provider about it.
So don't just grab any probiotic off the shelf.
That's right. Different probiotics have different strains of bacteria, and some strains are more effective than others for specific things. You want to make sure you're getting the right probiotic for you.
Personalized medicine. It's about recognizing that everyone is different.
Exactly. And when it comes to immune health, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So listen to your body, experiment,
Yeah.
and find what works best for you.
That's the key. And don't be afraid to talk to your doctor or other healthcare providers. They can help you figure out your individual needs and come up with a plan that's right for you. You know, we've talked a lot about the complexity of the immune system, but it's also incredibly resilient. It's always there, working to protect us, even when we don't even realize it.
That's true. It's easy to forget about our immune system until we get sick, but it's amazing.
It is. Take a moment to appreciate everything it does. By making healthy choices and prioritizing your health, you're supporting its work, and you're more likely to live a longer, healthier life.
I love that. It's not about being afraid of germs. It's about understanding our bodies, respecting them, and giving them what they need to thrive. This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like I have a much better understanding of my immune system now and how to take care of it.
That's great to hear. Knowledge is power. The more we understand our bodies, the better choices we can make.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the immune system. We hope you learned something new and feel inspired to take charge of your health. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.